Okay, what is up? What is up, boys? We got drama. We got some hilarious drama. Just pristine TSM drama. Because you know that like TSM just always has to have some form of drama. And I don't think that there could be a better way for some drama to start than if Doublelift goes against the org himself. Respect. Honestly, it's just been nice to watch. So I'm gonna just recap the whole thing and I'll just give my opinions on certain parts of it. So this was the first clip. This is what started off all the drama. Doublelift was asked a question on stream yesterday, and this was what he responded.
Honestly, I fucking hate TSM, mostly because of Andy. I actually remember this now. Yeah, Sword Art called me afterwards and said, "I'm coming to TSM. Are you sure?" Like he still wanted to play with me, and then I called Andy and told him, "Yeah, Sword Art still wants to play with me, and I would love to, you know, continue to play for the org." And Andy literally said no because he's got too much of an ego. It's so cringe.
Okay, so this is what he said. He said he wanted to play on TSM with Sword Art. They originally said they weren't going to be able to get Sword Art. Instead, they were going to most likely go with Palette. Doublelift claims that he didn't know the mid laner or top laner at the time. Because his team pretty much like had exploded. And once he heard that Sword Art was actually coming, he wanted to join the team, or he wanted to stay on the team. Andy didn't let him. Funny little thing. I knew this last year. I reported this last year. And before everything came out, before Doublelift said this, like for a week, I just got on the TSM subreddit for literally reporting exactly what happened and being 100% correct. I claimed that the Sword Art deal did impact the ability to retain Doublelift. The community was like, yeah, Dom's just making up. He's trying to start drama. Well, not really the community, just the TSM subreddit. So this is essentially what started the drama. Okay, next clip. Here we go.
I went and got hotpot with Sword Art, and I think it was between spring and summer split. It was around MSI, and the dude was literally saying that if me and Bjergsen were still playing, we would have 100% won. It's like just unbelievable decisions. I don't know. Every split I'm on TSM, we win, and still like.
Parts reply. I got parts reply up here.
Treated like that. It's just.
Trust me, I got all of it.
Disgusting. It would be a personal pleasure of mine to see TSM never win anything again. Because of how they treated the people who brought them everything. I don't even need to like pray for it. They're just gonna make that happen themselves.
Jesus Christ. So Doublelift says that he just hopes that they lose everything for all of eternity. Okay, you guys get the gist of it. We're gonna go through these.
I mean, just put two and two together. Everyone is leaving the org. Everyone is either leaving or in the process of leaving TSM.
Obviously, what you can gain from this is that Lena is also leaving TSM. There's a reason why Doublelift was not on TSM, and then now he's on TSM. You could read between the lines. The rumors are that Lena is joining Pokey's new talent agency, like she's gonna work there. So she's leaving TSM now, so now he's just unleashing. He's just going off.
It is pretty obvious. I don't treat people very well.
Just stop talking.
And Lena is in the background saying, please stop talking. Okay, so I think it's really telling that every single person that leaves TSM never has anything good to say. I said it earlier. I've interviewed Santorin. We did a Crackdown episode with Santorin, did a Crackdown episode with Acadian, did a Crackdown episode with Svenskeren. And every single time you talk to them, they literally look like a PTSD, like somebody who went to war or something. They're like, yeah, man, it was, I mean, those were some times, but you know, life goes on. They just say random quotes that you'd feel like you'd get from a war veteran afterwards, just trying to deal with the trauma of being on TSM. It's actually crazy that this is the case and nothing has happened so far. I mean, we've seen it on camera, right? There's the Dyrus thing, which people saw before. There was the X-Special thing, where he just made X-Special break down and cry, going in on him to his face. So this is apparently the Doublelift later claims is something that went on like way worse behind the scenes. He's like, yo, this guy is crying on camera. Sure, he made X-Special cry on camera, but he knows he's being filmed. Obviously, if you know you're being filmed, you're going to tone things down a bit. You're going to act more professional. It's just that when Reggie is acting professional and toned down, he's still making people cry. He's still making people feel like absolute. So Bjergsen will drop bombs. I don't think Bjergsen would ever drop bombs because Bjergsen is never that type of person. Like you could do whatever to Bjergsen. He's always going to take the high road. He's just too mature to deal with any of this drama, any of this bullshit. I think Bjergsen is just too focused on himself and just above all this drama. So I doubt Bjergsen will ever say anything. I think other people are going to feel inspired to talk. I mean, dude, everyone, man, like even look at BB. BB was the top laner for the team. They cut him out of nowhere to bring in Huni, and he has to play a season in Schalke. Like, that clearly wasn't where BB wanted to go after he had just won a championship. So it's rough, like how it just feels like they make the harshest decisions that don't even benefit them, just in spite of the fucking people that are working for them. Now Reginald responds. Let's read Reginald's response. Pretty lengthy response, so we'll go through it in parts. Okay, here you go. Obviously, this is the most PR bullshit you will ever see in your life. I don't know if you ever talked to Reggie or heard him talk. It's, yo, bro. Oh, man, that's sick, bro. Yeah, bro. Bro. Like, that is how he talks permanently, right? And then you listen to this. This is the most, like, eloquent, just PR thing ever created. The fact that people thought that this was just how Reggie would come off and didn't even mention how PR this was kind of crazy. Anyway, Reginald, bro. His name is Reginald, bro. Is that not enough? Bro. Reginald, bro. He says it so much, he made it his Reddit username. Hi, all. There's obviously a lot of attention on Doublelift's feelings about TSM. Unfortunately, he has chosen a public venue to air this negativity. I wanted to make a post to share full transparency as to why we made some of our decisions around Doublelift and rosters in the past. Peter is a good player, and one of the best players of all time in NA. Although he is a strong player and a leader inside the game, he is really challenging to work with. 2020 offseason. Going into the 2020 offseason, Bjergsen retired. After hearing the news, Doublelift was unsure whether he also wanted to continue to play. Therefore, we considered many options about the future of TSM, about what the future of TSM would look like, and our intention and strategy was to rebuild the team. After a few days passed, he reached out and changed his mind and told us that if we were to sign PoE and any good support player, no matter what language they spoke, he would play. Otherwise, he would want to look at other teams or retire. Because we still wanted to work with Doublelift, we decided to commit to a strong roster that he wanted to play with, rather than using the year to rebuild. We committed to signing PoE and a substantial budget. We were looking to sign Huni, and we're also looking to sign good support players such as Lehens, Sword Art, Palette, or other Korean supports. This is something that Doublelift just said was a straight up lie. I mean, we can see, we're going to look at Doublelift's reaction soon, but he said that this was a straight up lie. He said that he would have played with Lehens in a heartbeat. Lehens, if you guys don't know who Lehens is, obviously ex-Griffin support. Yeah, he played in Hanwha Life, I believe, last year, which they had a bad run, but definitely looks like a really good support player. Okay. As the offseason went on, the conversations with Sword Art were going well, and we were deep in negotiations with him. While we were negotiating with Sword Art, we did tell Doublelift that there was a possibility the deal wouldn't happen, and he would have to play with Palette or other Korean supports as plan B. Eventually, we hit a snag, and we're concerned... I can't imagine these words coming out of Reggie's mouth, bro. Can you imagine talking to Reggie? Eventually, we hit a snag. Like, all right, bro. Okay, sure. Eventually, we hit a snag and we're concerned that there was a high possibility that the Sword Art deal may not actually happen. At this time, we reached out to Doublelift about the potential options, including Palette and other players in Korea. Doublelift then expressed that he didn't want to play with non-English speaking players, so he just wants to play with an English speaking roster. Okay. Including our Korean options, even though he was okay with such a roster earlier. He explicitly stated that he may not be as motivated if we had him in a roster, play in a roster that didn't meet the standard of a fully English-speaking roster. This was in November, when every other AD carry was locked and we were 4 hours away from transferring Lost to EG. It is extremely discouraging for both staff and players to work with someone who is constantly ambivalent about whether or not he wants to play or retire. Therefore, all of our staff and players collectively decided to commit to Lost. After a long negotiation process, we subsequently were able to secure Sword Art. Pretty much what Doublelift was saying on stream about like him not knowing what the roster was going to be was bullshit, that he actually did know that it was PoE, and Doublelift was actually lying about the fact that he had no clue what the roster was, and that's why he didn't sign. Okay. Peter also has this misconception that he was replaced both times solely by me, but in reality, the decision is made collectively by the players and the staff he works with day to day. Even after Sword Art committed to TSM, we collectively thought that committing to Lost was the best decision at the moment, as building around a developing player rather than a player that constantly flip-flops on wanting to play would be better for TSM in the long run. I hold no ill will, nor am I frustrated at him specifically for being indecisive, because choosing your career and where you spend your time is a really important decision. But I need to prioritize TSM's best interests long-term and move on. I hope this is a learning lesson for Peter, as he's gone through this several times in his career. He is clearly the best, or one of the best players in his role ever to play in NA, but despite his skill, he is difficult to work with, and his teammates and staff on multiple teams in the past have chosen to remove him because of it. He needs to understand that every spot is earned, not guaranteed. So why is he publicly speaking out against TSM now in this very offseason? I'm assuming that, okay, look, I'm telling you what it is. It's not because he wanted to join TSM super badly and they just denied him and now he's upset. It's not because of that. It's because his girlfriend, who was the fucking president of TSM, is now leaving TSM, so he doesn't feel like he's on his girlfriend's career by on TSM. That is why. Like, I'll answer this question for you because this is some bullshit where it's like they're trying to just make it look like he's just butthurt when in reality he just didn't want to fuck over his girlfriend, who he obviously cares about a lot more than he cares about the TSM brand. I'm assuming that he's upset because we weren't interested in working with him. Bad assumption. He's exploring his options and we were not interested in working with him for these reasons. He's always changing his mind on whether or not he wants to play or retire. His teammates / coaches don't like working with him. If he doesn't like you or doesn't agree with your decision making, he flames you publicly. I don't know about this one, bro. This seems very strange. Like, I don't think that Doublelift flames everyone publicly that he's ever disagreed with their decision making. I feel like he's just flaming TSM right now because he just doesn't like the way that TSM operates. The reason that I think most people hate TSM is because TSM, they had the ability to sign anyone. They were such a prolific organization that everyone wanted to play for in the beginning of league history. So the fact that they've had such like middling results internationally compared to the amount of pull they had and where they were positioned within League of Legends is just sad. And it's because they have so much internal bullshit that people just can't thrive and succeed in that environment. There's so much pressure in being on TSM. And it's not because they have the biggest fan base. It's because Reggie will come in and the team anytime there's any amount of, in his mind, failure. Okay. Overall, I'm disappointed about this whole situation as I thought we've moved on from working with Peter last year. And I didn't know choosing to not work with him this year would result in this post and his feedback about TSM on stream. I mean, it's actually a pretty good strategy, bro. This is a pretty good PR strategy. You make him just look like a salty little and you don't address the actual problems within the organization. There's no like accountability or there's no like, hey, I was like, there's no amount of any of that. It is just all on Doublelift and it's all because he's a salty little because he wanted to play for TSM and he couldn't because everyone just wants to play for TSM. Either way, even if my assumptions aren't true, there's no reason why he should be flaming us publicly for not wanting to work with him for the 2020/2021 LCS season for the stated reasons in this post. In conclusion, we'll start taking steps to part ways with Doublelift. It's so PR. It's so PR. I like this response. This is witty. You know what would really piss him off? If we signed Chovy / Knight and Carrier, you'd show him real good, Reggie, I swear. I like this guy. That's an upvote from me. Respect. Funny comment. Politician. I mean, this is literally a politician, but it's like, okay, here. You want to hear Reggie talking? Listen to the drama, the Dyrus clip.
Oh my god. Dude, shut the up, dude.
Oh my god.
Shut up.
It's so bad.
Wait, what?
Wait, is that me? Am I just inting? Bro, cut the tape. I'm going to where I was before. So he said, so Reggie just said, why'd you just tell us to shut up? And then Dyrus is streaming and he's like, it's because it's too loud. Look, number one, bro, if you're in the gaming room, right? They can have this conversation anywhere in their big ass house and Dyrus is streaming. Why are you having a conversation? He can't move his PC. They have one gaming setup. They have one gaming room in the house and he's streaming. Dude, you know how annoying it is when people are just permanently like talking really loud behind you, not only when you're playing a super like high elo game, as you can tell because of the fact that I'm in it, clearly. You know how annoying this is? They could literally just do this anywhere and they're doing it. So like, I don't even think that Dyrus is in the wrong for telling them to shut up because, bro, you know that somebody's actually streaming in your house. Like, you know that he's streaming right there. Why do you have to have this conversation right there next to Dyrus right now while he's playing a game?
What the
Fucking rude as dude.
Yeah.
You're fucking rude as dude. Also, we hit a snag. We hit a snag in our deliberations on whether or not Sword Art would be participating in our lineup. It turns out that, in conclusion, he was able to subsequently join our team after further discourse. Like, what the f?
Yeah, I'm talking to Dan and Cheryl. Why are you so rude?
I'm talking to Dan and Turtle. Why the f are you being so rude? Because you guys are yelling right next to somebody who is streaming.
Why are you being so
Am I running it down again?
Game, dude. Leave me
Okay, why
alone.
are you being so rude then?
Leave me
That does not
alone.
justify you being rude.
Alright, I'm sorry for being rude then.
Stop being a little brat.
You're still going
Stop
on.
being a little
I
brat.
said sorry!
Why do you do that one more time?
Let him know, Dyrus.
I said sorry!
How hard is it to accept sorry?
Rat.
It's so, dude, it's so tough to watch. It's actually hard to watch, isn't it?
I don't need to deal with this shit.
I don't need to deal with it either.
Hey, get the fuck out of here.
Play a game.
Okay, and we're not even talking to you. Why are you being a little about it?
It's so hard to watch.
You're a little rager, dude.
Why is it such a big drama? Because it's Doublelift out of everyone, and because it's actually crazy that somebody has such a high position that is in charge of a company that is worth what, $400 million? It's kind of crazy that this guy is still behaving this way. Like, he's acting to his employees like I act to little LCK fans in Twitch chat when they're flaming me. So now we're going to like special clips. So we're gonna do this in order.
Like, I don't know why you would say that's the only reason why.
No,
yes,
no.
yes,
What
it
about
was
that
it was
point?
a game-losing play. Yeah, that was the game-losing play. But like,
This is
like
this
to
is
say
so
that
awkward.
turtle was the only reason why we lost.
No, I'm not saying that. That's the only reason why we lost at the end.
Well, you said
Yeah, because
This is so awkward. Turtle's sitting here, and Reggie's pretty much just been saying that Turtle is the reason why they lost the game, and Turtle's just sitting there like he didn't see anything. There was an episode of The Crackdown where Thorin referenced this. It's so hard to watch because like Turtle's new to the team, so this is like spring split when Turtle just got on the team, right? So he doesn't want to step on any toes. He doesn't want to get kicked. He's the new guy, and they've all been playing together for like a year and a half at this point, or maybe even longer in Xspecial's case. And Xspecial's like, dude, we didn't only lose because of Turtle. And Reggie's just sitting there like, yeah, Turtle just lost. Turtle's honestly a piece of shit, bro. F this guy. Honestly, I thought we were better with Chaos. Like Turtle's just standing right there like, get me out of this car.
he caught Ezra, so we lost right there. That's why we lost right there.
No, I'm saying that you were saying that turtle getting caught was the only reason why we were losing.
Every single fight, dude.
Like, yeah, I said that, but like, there's also other stuff in that game that was really bad.
It didn't even matter, dude. The fights were the only ones that mattered. Like, sure, they got Dragon, but it didn't matter because we could just group up and push. They got our inhibitor because 5 of us died bot.
Yeah,
Once you give TF an inhibitor, it opens up so much of the map.
yeah. I know.
Like, sure, we could have gotten a couple more CS. Sure, we
It's
could have,
snag.
like, not died. Sure, we could have got Dragon. But all that doesn't matter when we get all that anyways, and he played that way in teamfights. We would have lost the teamfight regardless. Are you arguing just to argue with me?
No, it feels like you're just trying to put it all on turtle.
No,
when
I'm not putting it all on Turtle.
No, you are putting it all on turtle.
Okay, yeah, he
Yeah.
really fucked
No,
up.
yeah, you are. Yeah.
Okay, he really fucked up.
He really f***ed up. Look at Turtle's face, bro. I can't, bro. Just look at Turtle's face, man. Look at Turtle's face. He's like, actually, yeah, you know what? You're right. You're right. It was all Turtle's fault. Yeah, he f***ed up so bad. And Turtle's just looking like,
Yeah, I know that.
It's too
but
crazy.
So,
To say the
why,
only-
why are you arguing with me about it? It's so true, though.
that he was the only reason why we lost
So why did we lose the game?
because of multiple stuff. But the biggest reason is turtle got caught, man.
No, we lost the game because he got caught.
No,
How can
bro, we lost the game because Turtle got caught. We lost. It's all his fault, bro. It's all Turtle's fault. That's the only reason why we f***ing lost. Holy shit.
Argue otherwise, dude. Like, how can you argue otherwise? Why are you arguing just to argue with me?
No,
If we're 7,000 gold ahead and we played like that, we'd have lost the game.
I don't think so. We're 7,000 gold ahead.
If Ezreal gets caught like that, we'll lose the game.
In the middle
Yes,
of the team fight,
they
we're
beat us
7K.
with 5 people alive.
They had like TF ult behind us and nobody went on him. Like, it was so sloppy. It wasn't just Ezreal instantly died. Yeah, it was horrible. They instantly died. But to say Turtle was the only reason why we lost, I don't like
I didn't
that.
watch the replay, but
I didn't watch replay.
if he didn't die, we would have won. And he's playing Ezreal.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Turtle had all the chances to carry.
Bro, like, he's right here. Is anyone going to acknowledge that he's right here? No one's going to acknowledge that he's right here, bro. He's right there. I've never had a conversation about anyone with them being that close and just referred to them that many times by their names and not ever been like him or you or any, like, that's so crazy.
To say he was the only reason why we lost, to me, is just, no. Like, I don't agree with that.
Oh, obviously, because there's so many other factors that could have made the game better.
Then why are you arguing with me? Like,
The biggest factor was Turtle.
okay.
And you're
Alright.
arguing with me,
Alright, my bad.
No, for no reason, you're arguing with me and arguing. It's f***ing annoying. And you've always been doing this, and it's really getting annoying.
Okay.
And lately you've been doing it. It's so annoying. Because you're only arguing with me to argue with me.
Not really.
Even when you can't even prove a point. And saying that our game would get harder.
I already proved my point. And
What was your point?
my point it wasn't just Turtle's fault.
No but you're arguing with me. Anyone can. Whatever. So annoying.
When we argue, it really should never get to a point where it's like, I'm right because I'm better than you. And when it gets to that point, I don't want to argue anymore. Like, even before the point, I don't want to argue. But when it gets to that point, it's like, this argument should stop, and it's dumb at that point.
God damn. Doublelift response. Yeah, I have Doublelift's response right here. So we're just going in order. We're going to watch the clip. Here are the pointers from the clip. Okay. Too hard to say what's emotional and what's not, but in general, Doublelift says he shouldn't have incorporated his off-season stuff with his dislike of Reggie and admits his last stream made him look like a jealous ex. Says there's been numerous cover-ups of mental abuse by Reggie. Said Reggie's post was inaccurate, which he said all lies first. He crossed it out. He stresses hard that he doesn't hate TSM. He just hates Reggie in particular. Is friends with a good number of employees at TSM and regrets saying it the way he originally did. Says current and former TSM employees have exploded his Discord/WeChat in support of him. WeChat, I mean, it's probably just going to be Sword Art from WeChat. Let's be honest. Says almost everybody who's left TSM has his back and agrees with him. Named Sword Art in particular. Dude, Sword Art's been there a year. Sword Art's been there a year, less than a year, and he's already gone, and or he already agrees with Doublelift and saw all the bullshit. Dude, I love the fact that Sword Art hustled TSM so much. I've said it before. The fact that Sword Art just made like 5 mil and dipped without even having to go to Worlds or anything. What a baller. Respect Sword Art. Says Reggie made a good number of people in TSM cry. A good number. Bro, how can you make a good number of people cry? Dude, when was the last time you made someone cry? Think about the last time you made anyone cry. Dude, is that a normal thing? I'm pretty sure no one makes anyone else cry. Had a meeting with Bjergsen and Walter in the gym about how they can stop Reggie from joining team meetings because he was making everyone depressed. Making everyone depressed. Dude, it's so crazy. I love this. Maybe leaked that Lena is no longer at TSM because he said worked. My own note, it seems Lena is fully on board now, telling him to tell stories but to censor names. Okay, so Lena is probably against TSM. Says time is on his side and eventually the truth will come out about Reggie. Left TL on a bad note, but still maintains good relationship with Steve, Core, etc. Unlike Reggie. Said you have to wonder why no one invites him to anything and he has no friends. Like, goddamn, okay. Streamers side with TSM because TSM has the best Twitch deal and because of Lena. Reggie screams at employees. Tactical Duncan, or Dunk, TSM Dunk, Spica, and me were all in the chat during all of it. Doublelift said, just one more year, Ming. I may or may not have tricked Doublelift into saying that he wanted everyone on TSM to die while I was in that chat. Implies, could be reading into it, that Bjergsen left because of Reggie. Implies Acadian has plenty to say about Reggie. And then here's the video. Okay, so we got the video. Do I have any experiences with Reggie? Okay, so my relationship with Reggie, this is actually crazy. So when I first met Reggie, we were two of like the highest rated players on the NA ladder. This was like before season 1, before the rank ladder was even out. It was when it was just normal games and MMR. And there was a period where for about 3 months where I played with Reggie just on Discord, or well, it wasn't Discord, it was Ventrilo at the time, for 10 hours a day. So he was somebody who I was like, I thought was one of my homies at a point. And he asked me to join his team, which was called All or Nothing. This was right before he rebranded into TSM. His website was called TSM. His team was called All or Nothing. Eventually he made his team called TSM, which makes sense, right? He asked me to join his team for a WCG qualifier. And only 2 teams qualified. And right before the roster's locked, he had his team get disqualified. I can't remember the reason. Somebody in chat will probably know the reason. His team got disqualified though. And I didn't want to join his team because I didn't know how like many more tournaments there were going to be. I just wanted to play in that one tournament. So I ended up joining Haters Make Us Famous, which was with Locust, which is how I got onto Dignitas later on, because I already had a connection. And pretty much when I did this, he just like cut me off and he would just flame me like all the time. I remember when I was going to like IPL 3, I eventually qualified for a LAN for IPL 3. I remember like the first thing he told me is that was when my picture got like link to the Dignitas website because I'd officially joined Dignitas, or I think it was maybe Complex. No, it was Complexity. Whatever. It was my picture was on the website of the roster I was on, and he just like kept on telling me I was so fucking ugly. He's like, holy shit, bro, like you're the ugliest motherfucker I've ever seen in my life, which is like really ironic because it was Reggie calling me fucking ugly the entire time. But yeah, he just called me ugly the whole fucking time. And we were playing them in like the first round. My team was obviously like pretty much a scrub team. We were like an amateur team essentially. And he just started talking. And like, since he was my friend, like I played with him for 10 hours a day for 3 months. So like we had talked about stuff like, yo, like family setup, like, you know, like he knew my parents were divorced. He knew that like I lived by myself. He knew that I had like family issues, whatever. And I just remember him like talking about the fact that my mom was a lawyer and like the family issues I had in the pre-game lobby. He was just talking about like how yeah, like you're just like here because your mom's rich, which like wasn't even true. My mom was a lawyer. We were not rich because my mom was divorced twice and all this stuff. And then he was like being like, oh yeah, like whatever, like saying some shit about my family. And I remember I was like, come here and say that to my face. So he came to our like area where our PCs were lined up and he said it to my face. And I got up and I was like, all right, let's go handle this, because I was upset. Obviously I was like, dude, this guy's like trying to bully me in person and he's like shorter than Tyler 1. I'm not having it. And I remember a big security guard came over, big ass motherfucker came over. I was like, because obviously like we were talking about fighting and there was people that overheard at the event and they're like, yo, we're not gonna have two nerds fighting in the middle of the event. Some big security guard came over and was like, it's not gonna be any problems, are there? Like, no sir. There was no problems, bro. There was no problems, and we didn't fight. That was like my interaction with him, and it all stemmed from me not wanting to join his team because it was disqualified, and it was somebody that I played like that amount of time with.
Actually, didn't really read it all. I kind of skimmed it, so I never told them that I had any intention of doing anything other than playing. Just that I would consider playing for them if they got PoE and any good support player, because at the time our roster just exploded. Basically the only two people who were staying was like me and Spica, and I was thinking it's gonna be hard to replace Soren obviously, but there's two good mid laners that are possible, not available. It was Jensen and PoE. So I don't know if you guys knew, but Jensen re-signed with Team Liquid for 3 years last offseason. So his options were between TSM and TL. I'm sure he had other options too, but he ended up choosing TL. So I was thinking, I really wanted to play with either. I wanted to play with Jensen.
And they could have got potentially Impact, and they could have potentially got Alfari, but the Alfari one would have meant that they would have needed to use a domestic support. So there was like a bunch of options. Like I think TSM really fucked up this offseason. Because
I like him and think we work really well together. And I thought it would be a good replacement for Soren, obviously. Everyone else would just be such a huge downgrade. Yeah. So why is that important? Eventually we hit a snag and we're concerned that there was a high possibility that the Sword Art deal may not actually
I can't get
happen.
over that, bro. Hit a snag.
At this time, we reached out to Doublelift
about
other potential options, including Paladin players in Korea. Doublelift then expressed he didn't want to play with non-English speaking players, including our Korean options, even though he's okay with such a roster earlier. Okay, this is just factually wrong. That is just literally just completely factually wrong to the point where like I could like bring up the chat logs about this. That is completely wrong. He explicitly stated that he may not be as motivated if we had him play on our roster that didn't meet his standard of a fully English-speaking roster. This was in November when every other ADC was locked. We were 4 hours away from transferring Lost to EG. Okay, Andy has some memory problems. I'll explain what actually happened here. At the time, the only thing that was confirmed was me and Spica on the team. There was absolutely no confirmation for anyone else. So yeah, they're talking to Huni, yeah, they're talking to PoE, but the talks actually weren't going that well.
Okay, so there's some discrepancy here. I wanted to start here. There's some discrepancy here now because Parth, obviously for TSM, has came out, and I just want to stop here because I think it makes the most sense. He says, I don't know if it's worth making a new thread for this, but I did want to address one part of Doublelift's comments today regarding last offseason, specifically the part where the part that Andy lied in his statement. Doublelift said that when we spoke to him about Sword Art potentially not joining and asked him about his feedback on other players, we also didn't have a top laner or mid laner confirmed to our roster. This is not true. At this time, around November 16th, PoE had already signed the contract and Huni had already agreed to the terms as part of our trade with EG for Lost. Both of these pieces were already set, implication that he chose not to commit due to uncertainty around the rest of the roster is not true. Regarding the supports with Palette, while Palette was a reasonable option for us, we were exploring Korean supports. Korea traditionally does their offseason after free agency date, so we couldn't guarantee that we would be able to get a top KR support, that we could get the top KR support prospects, but we're willing to try. Peter's reluctance was based solely on the uncertainty around the support options. At this point in the offseason, all the top 80 carriers were already committed to teams. While it's been reiterated several times already, we were fully committed to Doublelift at this point and already in the process of trading Lost and had to make a decision quickly on whether we wanted to keep him. I checked with all the coaches and players, including PoE and Huni. They said they would be fine moving forward with Lost. As an additional clarification, because some people claimed that we tricked Sword Art into joining a team without Doublelift, when the Sword Art process did continue, we were fully transparent with him, and he signed on knowing that he would be playing with Lost. So we're just going to interject that here because that is like a discrepancy. Both sides are just saying a different thing. I don't know if we'll ever know the truth, but just take everything with a grain of salt here.
I was getting updates every single day about whether Evil Geniuses was willing to part ways with Huni, and it actually looked like it was a no. Like at the time, Evil Geniuses was thinking about keeping Huni as a backup for Impact, and it didn't seem like they were willing to sell him off, or it was like really sketchy. So already, you know, strike one for me is there's no top laner. I can't commit to a fucking roster. There's no fucking top laner. Mid laner, the talks with FlyQuest were actually going really bad. Apparently, like FlyQuest had promised PoE that like Santorin was gonna stay. PoE was not confirmed at all. Like him saying like we committed to signing PoE is super troll to say because everything only fell into place at the very, very end. Like Sword Art, PoE, and Huni all fell into place at the very, very end. This is like so far away, so much after the time where like Andy egoed on me. Also, him saying that I would not be down to play with Lahens is f***ing troll. Of course I'd be down to play with Lahens. He's so f***ing good. Like the only option that they presented me was, do you want to commit to a roster with no top laner, no mid laner, and probably Palette? If you guys don't know, Palette is like a VCS support that I played against. I thought that he might be good. I wanted them to investigate how good he actually is and if he has good English skills. Because I played against this guy at MSI in 2019, 2018, and actually Core was the guy who told me, wait, was it Core? Yeah, it was Core. He told me that this guy might be actually pretty insane. For, you know, for VCS standards, he's really good. Yeah, I recommended him, obviously, as someone to look into. And they thought that was like, we fucking locked him, boys. Like he said it, we're gonna go get him, and then he's committed. It's like, that's not how it works. I'm not gonna commit to a roster with no roster. It's just, that's,
yeah, why would you?
And all this happened, by the way, it's just like all blew up at once. It's like, okay, Andy calls me, he's like, yo, are you committed to the roster? Even if it's total, if it's Palafox or like our backup Korean mid laners and Palette, and like we don't have a top lane.
For some reason I feel like that's for some reason I feel like that's not actually what they said. Yo, are you down to commit to this roster even if it's total shit? That would be hilarious. But yeah, no, I get what he means.
And he put me on the spot, and I was like,
holy
no, I don't think I would work well in that environment, honestly.
no,
like,
I don't want to play for a roster that is complete.
I don't feel good about it.
Too good.
And then he's like, okay, well, it then. You don't have a spot on a team anymore. That is actually how it went down. And I even afterwards, and I mean, you guys, you can ask him yourself, like, is this a battle of the egos? Because I went back and I apologized and I said, you know, it's just, the whole thing just sprung on me really suddenly. Like, I legitimately apologized to him and said this whole thing, you know, this like really like negative situation that came out between us happened because, you know, you basically asked me for my full commitment to something that like was really sketchy to me, and I, you know, I didn't really have like a very positive reception to it because X, Y, and Z, and I guess I should have taken more time to think about it. But even looking back, even if I did take more time to think about it, I probably would have made the same decision. That roster was so, it was so cursed. This is just factually wrong. Actually, I'm gonna go back and just let me actually step back really fast and just say the reason why I don't like Andy has very little to do with the fact that he, like, the off-season stuff, right? Like, if he doesn't want to work with me in 2017 and lets me join Team Liquid, he doesn't want to work with me in you know, last season. People say that in the comments, they're like, I'm so surprised. Like, I thought Doublelift was really happy streaming. Like, I thought he was enjoying his life. You know, he seems to be happy, you know, but inwardly he just has all this all this like hate, and like he actually secretly longs to like play again. And it's like, dude, I'm flattered. Like I'm really glad you think I'm that good of an actor. I don't think I am, but
Bro, this motherfucker can't even keep roster changes. He leaks every roster. He can't keep a secret for like that. That's why I trust Doublelift, is because he's like such a bad liar that it just makes you want to trust him. It's like, yeah, he probably believes what he's saying. He's bad.
Yeah, no, the truth is, guys,
he's bad at lying and he's bad at keeping secrets. So this works towards his favor in a situation like this.
is that I'm not actually a good actor. Like it actually, to be honest, this whole conversation even started because I got so annoyed with people asking me like, why would you even consider playing
drama?
again?
Who
Like,
cares?
why would you want?
I find this hilarious, but I guess for me, I like know all the parties involved, so it's pretty funny to me.
Why would you even want to play again? I thought you were happy. And it's like, it wasn't. I didn't plan on stop playing to begin with. Then I had to explain why. You know, like I didn't just wake up one day and I was like, yeah, fuck it, I don't want to compete anymore. But you know, I made my peace with it and it's all good. So this is the part where I'm like, he's just projecting. Like he thinks I'm like upset that he like doesn't want me on his team. I don't want to work for this guy. Like I don't like him. So it's definitely not like, yeah, like I said, the incel who gets rejected by the girl and then starts flaming her for being like a something. It's definitely like all this stuff just came out. Somebody actually messaged me who worked for TSM in the past. I'm not going to say who. They're like asking me a lot of the stuff that you have to say about Andy is honestly, it's unrelated to the last offseason, right? Like there's like two different things. And I think that's where I went wrong. I think the fact that all of this is about like the focal point of all this stuff is about the offseason. Oh, that's where I went wrong, guys, because that's not what it's about. Like it's a very small part of the bigger picture.
I'm not going to say too much on this, but do you think that Reggie holds zero resentment at the fact that Doublelift is now dating his ex-girlfriend of like 4 years? I just don't feel like knowing Reg, like I don't know many people that would be big enough to like not hold resentment from that, but I feel like that's probably made Reggie want to find a moment where he could get a one over on Doublelift. Like I don't think that you can handle this when you're like 28 years old in esports and some dude is winning championships for like every team that he plays for and now takes your girl. Like, oh, I don't know, bro. That's a little tough.
Part of the whole picture. I never should have allowed right like any of my own personal experiences with him
big bad
to
true
kind of like bleed in, because then it just makes me sound like I'm just like vengeful and I have like an ulterior motive to what I'm saying. So like all this like random literally just lies in his like talking about the offseason. I this is such a small part of it. Like just don't like him. I'll show you guys something really interesting here. Do you guys remember when Andy went on Twitter and flamed Vulcan, told him he would work at McDonald's if and it became a meme, right? Like Vulcan leaned into it. It's funny.
And then he clarified and said, no, it was league minimum. Bro, I was talking about league minimum, not minimum wage. Like, come on.
But
holy, the best support player in
people
NA.
don't like working with him.
Best North American support player.
It's funny that he has this holier than thou attitude about it, because he's like a bully who gets away with being a bad person because he's powerful, because people are afraid to stand up to him. And that's what I'm sick of. This is what is it? He's like the COO, right? No, he's the VP of operations. So this is a month ago. And his right-hand man, these guys are like, it's basically his butt buddy, right? It's the guy who like basically licks his butthole 24/7. He tweets, eating with Lord TSM Reginald. Okay. He says if he comes back to coach the LoL team, we would guarantee first for spring and summer next year.
Professional. He's the VP of butthole licking. That's this guy. TSM FTX Walter, VP of butthole licking. Nice.
Fucking yikes is that if you're Bjergsen. Think about all of the different things that is going on here. He's basically saying that he would do such a better job than Bjergsen did last year, that they would guarantee first. First off, it's up to say. It's so disrespectful. Imagine if you're any part of the coaching staff or any part of the team.
I mean, dude, it's not even that. It's just straight up delusional. This motherfucker's been sitting in an office. Reginald still plays the game. He's fucking like plat, bro. And he's going to say that he is going to do a better job of coaching than Bjergsen. This is Reginald's account, bro. This is actually his account. He's Diamond 4, 52% win rate with 600 games. This dude plays actually a decent amount, bro. He plays a decent amount. Diamond 4, dude, how laughable is this? Imagine you got in game with a Diamond 4 player That's 50% win rate. And they were telling you that they could actually coach better than one of the best players, for my money, the best player in the history of North America. It's not as much egotistical to me. It's just straight up delusional. The fact that anyone can even say that is just crazy, man.
It's just like, he knows so much better than you that like, he thinks that if he just stepped in, if he was just able to step in and be the coach, that the team would just turn around because he's God's gift to the game. And think about how many steps removed they are, that this guy would think it's okay to tweet during the time that they're negotiating with Soren.
Bro, I'm surprised that Bjergsen didn't want to return, bro. I can't believe that Bjergsen didn't want to return when this is the type of shit that he's seeing on his timeline.
And like in the offseason, this is going to turn everyone away from the org. This is going to turn everyone away from wanting to be on the team. It's just cringe. Okay, and then there's also the argument that you can make is like, oh, he's joking. But then it's obviously not a joke, right? Because this is somebody who steps in every single playoffs and ruins the team atmosphere. In fact, on my last split on TSM, I had a meeting with Walter and Soren in the gym. And the meeting was about how can we get Andy to leave us alone during playoffs, because he's making us all depressed. So, I mean, this happens so much. Anybody who knows anything about the team or has worked on the team knows that this is not a joke. This is like real. This is like a legit statement. So it's just such a like crazy thing to tweet, man. It's just such a crazy thing to tweet. And just like I said, imagine that you're a coach on the league team, and like your job is to gain the respect of your team. It's to work with your team and give them the best chance of winning. And like, your boss legitimately thinks like this. I don't really have the tweets on hand, but like, you guys remember about when he flamed Vulcan? You guys remember when like during TSM series, Andy legit came out and said that they lost because of the draft. And it's like, Soren is coaching that team. They're in the middle of a series, and Andy's like, we're losing because of coach diff. He's literally just tweeting this in the middle of, or at the end of the series. Life. It's crazy.
Dude, how could you disrespect Bjergsen out of everyone on TSM? The thing that I think is so weird is normally I've met people like Reggie before, but normally what they do is they like ally themselves with one person, and that's like their fucking person that they won't fuck with. And everyone else they'll shit on, but like they'll have one person that they still keep in there that they don't cross that line with. The fact that he was willing to go in on Bjergsen, like, dude, Bjergsen is the hardest working motherfucker you'll ever meet. This guy, I don't say this about many players. I truly believe that from like the time of like season 5 until like, I mean, I don't know Bjergsen too much after like season 8 because I stopped talking to him like heavily in season 7. I will say from season 4 to season 7, this guy actually did everything in his power to try to win worlds. Like anything that he thought he could do, whether it was like reading books on how to succeed in team environments, how to win friends and influence people, like that great. But like he would just read books on how to help his team. He tried spamming the game 24/7, sleeping like no time, doing like the Korean schedule. He tried taking a more active approach in the game, like trying to become a shot caller, trying to become a leader. This guy tried everything.
And like, I don't expect anybody to come out, but just go out and ask people, guys. Go out and ask like Sven and Mithy how it was to work with this guy. Go ask Sven Skiren, who I'm pretty sure still has like emotional trauma about this shit. And like, so I did this. I did an episode of The Crackdown. I did ask Sven Skiren, and Sven Skiren pretty much talked about how he lost all of his confidence during season 7 because like at Worlds, he was just getting shit on so hard by Reggie that he was just scared to make a play. Do you remember how season 7 Worlds looked for TSM? I think they went like 2-1 the first week. Then they looked terrible in the second week. Maybe they got 3-3 in a tiebreak and they lost a tiebreak, some like that. Do you remember how Sven Skiren was afraid to leave his jungle? Bro, this guy was perma full clearing, afraid to leave his jungle, afraid to gank a lane, afraid to be Sven Skiren because he didn't want to make a mistake and get on anymore. You will understand why people want to get away from TSM. So when I say that I hate TSM, I shouldn't have said that, because I think there's lots of amazing people who work at TSM. Obviously, Lena worked at TSM for a whole year. I have lots of friends who still work at TSM. Like I have friends who, and they'll be my lifetime friends, right? Like it's not that I'm like
Mike
I have
Young,
this, like, blind for everything TSM related. I think TSM fans can be great. Like I had an amazing experience because of the TSM fans when I was on the team. But it's hard for me to support the org because at the top is a fucking bully. He's just an egomaniac bully, and he gets away with stuff, you know, writing out these kind of things because he has like carefully crafted PR responses to things after he fucks up. The truth will come out eventually. Like, time is on my side. If you just wait, if you just keep your eyes open, if you just listen, people are leaving. A lot of people have left already. Just try to keep what I'm saying in mind when you start hearing more and more news, when people start coming out and saying a little bit more here and there. It's obviously, I respect that he came from nothing, just like me. Like we both grew up probably extremely poor. I think he grew up extremely poor. The stuff that he gets away with because he is who he is just, it's unbelievable. He comes in and makes people feel like, he makes them feel worthless. He doesn't treat people with respect. I'll give you an example. I acted like a little on Team Liquid, especially in my last split there. Like, definitely on my last split there. And after we parted ways, it was not pretty, but I still have a good relationship with everyone at TL. And the reason why is because we have like mutual respect for each other, and I admitted that I fucked up and we moved on. To be honest, I picked a fight and he came up to swing, and there's no way that he can win because it's him versus 50 people. Last night I got messages from so many people. The funniest one, you know who you are. The funniest one was a former employee just messaged me a thumbs up. That's all he said, a thumbs up. And then like so many people came out and messaged me and were like, they're supportive. Sword Art messaged me on WeChat, and I'm not going to tell you guys what he said, but he was supportive. Like dude, it's just so funny. There's so many people who've either worked or continue to work
Sword Art to hate you?
Still work at TSM, and they know exactly what I'm talking about, dude. It's just so funny because this guy came up to fight me, and it's like, you have no chance of winning. He made so many players cry. So many players.
That's such an insane statement.
I don't want to name them actually because I feel like
in my entire career, I played for 6 years. There was only one time where somebody made somebody else cry. And it wasn't even like berating somebody until they were crying. There was just one point where xSpecial was so upset about the fact that Piglet wouldn't talk to him. Like, Piglet just viewed him as like so low that it wasn't even worth talking to him, and they were supposed to be laning together, that like xSpecial started crying because literally Piglet just dono walled xSpecial until xSpecial just couldn't like take it anymore. xSpecial was like, hey, how do you want me to play this lane? And then like Piglet would just like say things to the coach like, well, we're all pro players, so we should know how to like do these things. So that's one experience. So how the f do you make so many people cry? I've seen that one time in my entire career. I saw that one time.
Like, it's not my story to tell. So I would just say that he made a lot of players cry. You would be very surprised at how many of maybe your favorite familiar faces in LCS legit mental breakdown because of how badly they're getting berated, how badly they were just getting verbally assaulted.
Wait, where's when I bait Doublelift? I bait Doublelift soon.
I want everyone on TSM to die.
See?
Thank you, Dom.
Baited content. My God, it's some fucking drama. Like, Jesus. The Reggie hating drama is just, it's too rich. It's too rich, man. It's too rich. Oh, last thing. All right. Sorry, last thing. Okay, so Lena said, have you seen the Am I the Asshole sub? Both sucked here. So this whole thing blew up because they got into an argument. Lena says, so like logically, both sides make sense, but keep in mind, this is over the course of 24 hours. And not that he was given time to think on it, or Andy was given time to work on the Sword Art deal. He was told Sword Art isn't happening, not the deal was going bad. Then he asked to explore his options. Andy said, you have to commit or we'll find an AD carry that will. Peter said no. Yeah, my boyfriend and ex getting into a fight, laughing my ass off. I really just like how Reggie handled it as well. Peter could have been more patient, and so could have Reggie. The real truth is two dudes have impossible egos to deal with. It's not Reggie's side or Peter's side. He actually doesn't like talking about it, but he gets asked all the time every time he streams. You can like both. So somebody is probably saying like, I don't know who to like anymore. I want to like Doublelift, but I still want to like TSM. Lena says you can like both. Don't need him to align with everything you do. You don't need Peter to like TSM. Anyway, I don't blame Peter for his feelings about TSM, his personal experience. was getting kicked twice, so of course he's not going to like the org. But on the flip side, you guys can still support the team and respect Peter's contributions to TSM. Just absolute damage control. Once the Sword Art news came out, Sword Art called Peter and said he still wanted to play with him. I told Peter to call Andy to apologize and still ask to play. Andy still said no. What I don't understand is, like, if Sword Art, you just signed a $6 million support, regardless of what you think, if that support wants to play with one guy, like, I feel like that should definitely be factored into the equation and be like a big selling point for wanting Doublelift to play. So you can't blame Peter for making that decision to retire, because other pros do the same thing all the time. And I'm sure Jensen isn't happy with how Steve handled this offseason, but the diff is he likely won't talk about it on stream, nor will he get asked 100 times a day about it. I do feel sad for Peter having to retire last year, but ultimately he didn't want to play on a bad team. It looks like Jensen is going through the same thing right now, and not looking like too many options are open for him after him being one of the best performers in NA at Worlds. That's pretty sad for Jensen. That is pretty sad. I mean, there's not much here. It's just like damage control.